Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel and another video. It's the Arsenal Show, episode 2. Let's get into it. Yes, hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. And it's not just Oasis that have got back together this week. The band is back together. It's me and Mevlyn. Mevlyn, how you doing, my friend?
Yeah, good, thanks. Very good, thank you.
Good. It's nice to have you back on. So, obviously this weekend, I mean, there's so much to talk about since the game, but we'll start with the game and then work through. We obviously got the win against Aston Villa, what I think was a very, very important win. Like we discussed on last week's podcast, there's been a lot going on about obviously who's the better manager out of Unai Emery and Arteta. How important is this going to be for the season, etc., etc. And overall, like I said, I thought it was a very, very big win for the Arsenal. But touching onto the game, Mevlyn, obviously the lineup come out. It was the same lineup that I put on Twitter as I do, but also the lineup that we all predicted and wanted in the podcast. So were you happy with that? I mean, I thought it was pretty obvious he's going to drop Zinchenko for this, considering that obviously Diaby was going to play for... Sorry, not Diaby, Bailey was going to play for Aston Villa. Yeah. So, yeah, I thought it was pretty obvious that was going to be a change. But was there anything else there that you thought might have gone down, I mean, or were you pretty much the same as how we were?
Very happy. Yeah, exactly what we said before. Very happy with that lineup, and you had to have a stronger left back, and he did very well, didn't he? Very well.
Yeah, I mean that's a great point you make there. That's something I wanted to jump straight in on straight away. Was how did you actually think he played? And I know a lot of people. I saw some like not overly impressed. I was like, I don't know what more you want this guy to do. He's just come off what is arguably one of the most horrible injuries that you can get as a footballer. He's going against a team that finished top 4 last season, took 6 points off us, pretty much ruined the title bid that we had at the most important time of the season. And he stepped in there and, okay, I think, like we mentioned on the Purely podcast when we did that earlier in the week, on 70 minutes, you could clearly see the guy was lagging, but I don't know, you know, okay, when he played for reserves against Blackburn, he scored an outstat, but I don't know what people think this player is. I thought he did everything that was asked of him, Mevlyn.
And more, I mean, and what was nice to see, I mean, people would probably get a bit frustrated. I saw someone write something about he held on to the ball too long. No, when he came inside, inverted, he was brilliant. He made another midfield. He held the ball. He knew what he was going to do with it. He had that type of type of football. In other words, gets the ball, has a look, and he always picks out the right man. There's always one to give it to, and he just seemed to slot straight in. So now he's just everything you want in a player to come in. You just felt more relaxed. After a couple of minutes, you saw him against Bailey and thought, nah, this is fine. No problem at all. So, no. Yeah. And he's good in the air, isn't he, for a little guy?
Yeah, he is. I like I said, I thought that he had a very, very, very good game, especially for the, like I said, for the minutes that he played and everything else. Just to touch on the first half, obviously, there was a few chances that we did have. The big one being the Bukayo Saka chance that was saved by Martinez, which was typical. It's a good save from him. Like we mentioned, he was probably going to be a panto villain that game, which he was. But I think we did bits to him afterwards. But going into it, Mevlyn, as well, Aston Villa, they gave us a real scare. I mean, the chance that Ollie Watkins has, and I did mention it on the show that we did last week. I thought coming off the Euros, especially in that West Ham game, he did not look himself. And thank God he didn't look himself at the weekend.
I thought with that particular one you're talking about, James, I thought we were lucky that he didn't put it wider of our keeper. Our keeper made an absolutely brilliant save. And as lucky as we might have been that he didn't put it wider to the keeper's left, if you like, they would have been a very fortunate goal. The way it came off that our defender and just went up in the air, it could have gone anywhere, and it didn't suit us. So all in all, I don't mind being lucky. That was a bit of luck, but it would have been very unlucky had we let one in at that stage. But I mean, a great save from our keeper. Had it gone another 2 yards wide of our keeper, we obviously wouldn't have got it. But a lot of keepers would have been beaten by that, and he wasn't. So he got hats off to him.
Yeah, and as well the one in the first half, obviously where Gabriel, he miscontrolled it and they got put through, and yeah, that was a very, very lucky miss. But I know that a lot of that, the first half, it was mainly the Saka chance, but there was another one, obviously Kai Havertz, where it was great play with Rice, and one of the good things that Martinelli did do in that game. But there was the other part in that half where we had a breakaway chance, and Martinelli's got the ball at his feet, and we all remember the Chelsea game, we remember other games where he's done it. You're just thinking, right, go and sprint now, run your race and do what you normally do. And the pass that he put in was absolutely shocking. It was behind everybody, and I know we had this conversation last week about him as well, but what do you think it is with Martinelli, Melvyn? Because the three key attributes that he has are obviously his pace, and then it's his finishing. Next to Trossard, you'd probably say in terms of natural finishers that we've got in this squad, he's got to be the second best next to Trossard as a finisher, and he's not applying himself at all. And I don't know. We talked on the purely about obviously Fabio Vieira going, who's his best mate, but would that really affect him that much, do you think, to put in a performance like that?
No. You've got to remember he missed a lot of chances at the end of last season, and Vieira was still with us, so I don't think that's anything to go by. No, he's just. I believe it's all to do with confidence. I mean, he scored against Villa. I know there wasn't too many people in front of him. He had that breakaway in the last minute, but they were never going to catch him, even if they were level with him a year or two ago. He just went like a bullet. He was fantastic. This year, you think in the same situation, they might catch up with him. Is that also to do with confidence? He can't afford to have too many performances like that, because you know what Arteta's like. Is suddenly think he's not for me, and he'll put him to the side. He won't get a look in. I think that it's between obviously Trossard and him at the moment, but I don't think Trossard is a 90-minute player anyway. I think he does the best coming off the bench. So I hope he perseveres with him, gives him a few more games, and hopefully he'll be able to, do something to get his confidence back. All of a sudden, something will happen. It comes off his head or something, or his bum, or it goes it, because he needs that. He needs that bit of luck, and then we see I mean, if he was firing all cylinders, I mean, come on, it'd be fantastic. We'd be so dangerous. But we're only looking dangerous from not from that side anymore, and that's that. And that if he's not playing well, then when it comes to being up front, I don't think Kai Havertz is going to play that well, because they can't play together, do one-on-ones and all that, and 1-2s, and it's a shame because he seems a bit isolated, Kai Havertz, at the moment, and that's because Martinelli's not next to him or running off. He hasn't got confidence to run off. So we're really, all of our danger seems to come from the right, until we brought on Trossard, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, there was that one chance in the first half from Kai Havertz, and when I watch it back, they said on Sky, obviously Neville and what have you, he's like, he's rushed that's a bad miss. But to me, I thought that, because obviously Rice and Martinelli have that lovely 1-2, like you've said, he cuts in and he lays the ball across, and I'm thinking, to me, it looks like Havertz is trying to drag it back like a backheel flick to Saka's that behind him to tap it in. That's what I thought he was doing. And obviously, because he's 6'4" and he has got these big, he's got the big feet, and I think it just, ricocheted off. I looked at it and thought, that's not him shooting, because even on his worst day, he's not scuffing stuff like that. I thought he was just trying to be a bit too clever there. If he actually put his laces through it, we might have been 1-0 up. I think he was trying to be too cute there personally, but I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, I agree. I do. I think he was trying that, but it's so important that first goal, isn't it? It changes everything. It's the big word in life and in football, and had they got one of those two very good chances that I had, then it could have been all different. And when their centre half, who came up, I think it was for a free kick, and hit that ball across the goal, and there was no one at the far post to put it in. I was just praying. I said, I'll take a draw. Just where do I sign? Just let me know. I'll sign anywhere. Give me a draw. Because at the end of the day, yes, we've got to win games. But if we draw away to Villa, who's right up there, there's going to be one of the top teams this season as well, it seems. I look at it as this season against last season. It's +1 had we got a draw. Yeah. I know that we dropped 2 points, but you've got to have that in your mind to a certain degree as well. So it wouldn't have been the end of the world. It wouldn't have been great, but it wouldn't have been the end of the world. But to get 3 points is like, wow, needed that, did it? We should have got more. We should have got points off them last year, to be quite honest, and we didn't. So I think we owed them one. Or they owed us one, rather.
Yeah, and I mean, the unity as well, obviously, first half, attacking-wise, other than the Saka chance, didn't go great. But I thought as a group of lads, especially that back five, they're so together. I mean, the big incident, obviously, with McGinn, and he boots the ball at Saliba, and then Ben White just goes, "Oh, do you know what? Have that!" And he absolutely smacks the ball straight into McGinn, and then it got to a fisticuffs. And I mentioned it again. I know I keep mentioning the other pods that we do, but Ben White he's either crazy, Melvyn, or he is genuinely a hard guy. I think it could be a mixture of both. I think he can have it, but also he is a screw loose.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's something about him. He likes to. He's the type of guy that if he was a dog, he'd nibble at your ankles the whole game, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
He's a bit like that, and it's great to have that type of player in the squad. You need someone to look after your players, and I'd like to see more of that, especially with Saka when he gets kicked all over the place. I really would. A bit of protection for him.
Yeah.
But Ben White, not in the England squad. Bothered? No. Do you reckon he's bothered? No. He'd probably go away for another couple of days in the sun. He don't care, does he?
Yeah, I mean, I did read something earlier, and again, with a lot of Twitter, it's, hearsay and rumour and innuendo. I don't know how true it is. And they said that I think that they were expecting, the England camp were expecting him to approach them to ask if he would be allowed back, if he was considered to be back in. And I think Carsley got angry because obviously the consensus yesterday from Ben White's camp and himself was he's not really fussed if he's in or he's not. And I think that made him think, well, do you know what? And I know that a lot of them probably within that England and the FA, the old boys club, are, if he thinks he's too big for us, then, we're not going to go back there. And I think he's better off without them. I mean, if it's a tournament, I can understand it. I can understand you wanting to be in a tournament. But he was there and clearly something happened. And it was mentioned, obviously, Steve Holland had either said or done something that he found offensive, and he didn't want to be around a group that, wasn't the environment that he wanted to be in. He's self-admitted he's not the biggest football fan. So he's like, if I don't have to play it, I'm not going to. And I think it benefits us in the long run. I think him having the breaks, he gets 2 games because he would play both games because we know what England managers are like with Arsenal players. Everyone else's players can play 45 or 60 minutes in one game, but the Arsenal players have to play 90 plus in both. That's how it goes.
And I don't think it's such a big thing anymore to play for England. I mean, growing up, if you played for England, you're like, wow, that guy there, see him, he's an England international. Nowadays, if they've got an English player, you look point to him and say, look, see him, he's not an English international. It's like, what do you got to do to play for England? Just be normal. Because there's very few England players in the Premiership that haven't played for England. So, no, I can't be. But look, is it done on talent? Is it done on current form? Maguire's in the squad again. There's the clue, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said as well earlier today at work. We were talking about the England team, and I just said to him how he's in there after what he did at the weekend. I mean, the goal against Brighton. I don't know. I know we're going off topic a bit here, but I don't know how you can pick him because it's solely pretty much his fault. The Welbeck one.
I think what it is with
confusing.
Why they pick one against the other, not White, and they pick Maguire. I think Maguire wears a nice tie and Ben White doesn't probably. You've got to have a nice tie.
It goes back to that whole verbiage. I mean, Pickford's in it as well, and it's like, oh yeah, but they've never let us down when they've played in an England shirt. And I'm like, yeah, but you're giving them more and more opportunities to let us down.
Yeah, exactly.
The more you pick them, the more chance that it could happen.
What was that goal he gave away the other day when he was like chasing they got beat 4-0, didn't they, Everton? And the second or third goal.
Them lot again down the road they played, yeah.
Oh, against Tottenham, wasn't it? Yeah. My God, that was ridiculous, wasn't it? What he should have said when the guy was going about the score, excuse me, and I've made a mistake, but I'm England's number one. You're not allowed to do that. I wasn't expecting you to do that, so but he didn't get away with it. Ridiculous. Yeah. But no, Ben White, great. I mean, we've got good cover for Ben White now if we need him. We've got good cover. I mean, just to change topic a little bit, James. This guy who came on for a cameo the last 10 minutes.
I was going to mention him.
He's like a warrior, mate. He's the warrior, isn't he? He's a warrior. He looks like he's got winding up the goalkeeper and the defenders. He wasn't bothered. And I'm just thinking, you want him to see him play 90 minutes every game, don't you? Where's he going to play?
Yeah.
That's the problem.
What I liked, Mevlyn, was when all that was going on, he was just laughing. They were getting so angry.
Yeah.
And he just kept, and it was like the more he was laughing and smiling, the more you could see that they were getting sick. And I was just like, yeah. And there's a guy that I listen to on ESPN, and he does a lot of the Italian football. James Horncastle, you've probably seen. He's got long hair as well. Yeah, he's on the telly quite a bit. And he said on a podcast that I listened to ages and ages ago when we first got him, he went, if Arsenal fans like Ben White on the right-hand side, then they're going to love Calafiori on the left, because they said they're very similar. He went, he's got a bit more of a temper. They said, be warned of that. But he went, he is an elite level, wind-up merchant type player. And I'm all for it. And but I think as well, the more we see him, we're actually going to appreciate it, because Ben White, I don't think still gets appreciated for how good of a footballer he is, let alone everything. A lot of people see the funnier side of it. They see the interviews and everything else where he's just so blunt and precise with what he says. And I think they don't take into account just how good of an actual footballer he is, which I hope that they will start doing with Calafiori as well, because I think Calafiori's got all the ability, just from the small 2 games that I've seen in the Emirates Cup, which, like you said last week, can't really judge on that. You've got to judge them when they're in the Premiership. Well, I thought he looked very good in 10 minutes in the Premiership as well.
And I think just for seeing a few minutes of him, he's got an aura about him. And that, all of a sudden, he's like, hold on a minute, this guy is different. He's not just your run-at-mill footballer, is he? He's definitely got something about him.
Yeah, he didn't look phased or out of place, which is the best compliment you can give somebody, especially when they're making a debut. But just going back onto that second half, obviously you mentioned the Raya save and what have you, but that for me, obviously I do it every show. So the man of the match for this week, I gave it to David Raya. Mevlyn, do you agree? I know there was a bit of debate. Some said that the man from Belgium was the guy that actually changed the game, but for me, I think that we wouldn't have got that chance to win that game had David Raya not done what he done.
Yeah, as I say, it's a very big word, and had they scored, then I think we could have been struggling. I think that changed the momentum a little bit. That gave us a bit of hope. Without that, we'd have been backs against the wall, and you don't know how we would have reacted. I like to think we would have reacted okay, but I just think that with not having a go, but I don't think Rice has got into third gear yet. And that's what we need. And I think if Rice was into third gear and the rest of them were playing slightly better, then I wouldn't be bothered. I wouldn't like it to be 1-0 down. But with Rice not yet clicking into gear, it worried me that if we go 1-0 down, it's not looking good at all. And it would be very, very difficult for us to turn the tables and go and win the game, get a draw or even win it. No, but I suppose on that basis, I'll give it to Raya. Yeah. Though Trossard was like, if he could put 2 fingers up, he would have done, wouldn't he, when he scored that goal?
Well, this is it, is that obviously he'd done the interview after the game, and he said that even before he was being substituted, I think he said even during the first half, he was yelling over the bench, being like, boss, look at the spaces that are in, but he's like, I will score. He was literally saying over.
Did he? I didn't know that. I didn't see the interview.
He said to him, I will score here. because look at he's like the amount of space that they're leaving him. But this is what I do. He's like, I'll pick that pocket. I'll go into that little area and I'll score. And it was literally what he weren't on very long, and he tucks it in straight away. And it was a good finish for him. And I was really happy because obviously the game at home that we lost against them last season,
he missed that goal, didn't he?
He had that really chance, which like he normally does, he tucks them away. And I think for him to get that, and I do believe the lack of celebration was the frustration at the anger, because
definitely.
If you really into it, I believe pre-season, in terms of an attacking player, he was probably our best one, but yet he didn't get picked for the very first game. And like we mentioned, I didn't think that he was going to get picked to start against Aston Villa, because I thought that they'd do this ridiculously high line, which they normally do. So you want Martinelli for the counter-attack. But like Mikel said, they actually changed. They actually went into more of a deeper block that we had to unlock, which, like you mentioned earlier, very, very glad that we did. But yeah, I think he did completely change the game when he come on. I mean, he was very influential in the second goal, just as much as he was the first.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I mean, that run he did, that with the ball was chipped over to him on the left, but he had to, the space was there, but you got to get there, and pushed it across, and then Saka put it back to Partey, who did the business. But I think their goalie, Martinez, I think you don't normally see him let those in, do you?
No, I mean, I think he missed. He missed being at Arsenal and wanted to give us a hand, maybe.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
But what did you, just touching on Thomas? But what did you make of him, Mevlyn? Because I thought first half he was arguably one of our better players on the pitch. I know off the ball there's still glaring problems, but when he's got time and he's got space on it, I still think he's one of the best players to watch. The way he threads that ball, I don't think there's anyone else in our team that can do it, Mevlyn, even with all of his limitations. That's one thing that he hasn't got that's diminished.
No, that's true. But the trouble with Partey, he can't play 90 minutes. And whatever happens to him, whether he gets a knock or is out of breath, whatever happens, once he goes down from third to second gear in a game, he can't get back up again. The ceiling keeps going lower during the match.
Oh, yeah.
But I love watching him. He seems to play slow motion football. When everyone's rushing around, he stops, has a look, goes one way. Everyone goes one way. He turns the other way, just flicks it. And he does more, I think, perhaps his position is slightly different to Odegaard. As good as Odegaard is, Odegaard has got one pass to get through. He does the old chip in the box, left-footed in the box, diagonal ball, but putting through is nowhere near as good as Partey, putting those balls between defenders. So we will miss him when he finally goes, whether it's January or might probably be the end of the season now.
Yeah, I mean, for that role, I think whoever does end up playing there, whether it be Jorginho, whether it be Rice, whether it be Partey, even the new signing that we'll touch on a bit later on, your main consensus that the manager's going to be telling you to do is give that ball as quick as you can to Odegaard or to Saka. And I still think Thomas Partey at the moment is the best for it, and that's a complete 180 from me. I mean, Neil hopefully still in the chat. I know Hente's in the chat as well. They've heard me for years. I am no way a Thomas Partey. If I think he was first on my list of players I would have got rid of this summer next to Zinchenko. I think I had Zinchenko first and maybe Partey second because of the mobility factor. But I wouldn't say he's done a complete 180 for me. But I can see he's definitely turned a corner slightly that way. But there's still, like you said, a team on transition, I think, could really, really... I mean, after this game at the weekend, the two games that are away, I don't expect him to be playing either of them.
No, you'd have either the new guy, which we'd touch on, I should think, shortly, or the guy from Chelsea, Jorginho, to play. I'm surprised he never came on Saturday, funnily enough. Partey stayed the whole 90 minutes. Did he play the whole 90 minutes?
Yeah, I believe
I'm surprised about that. I thought they'd make a change, because that was a perfect thing for him. Just what he's good at is slowing the play down, and he never came on, which I'm surprised about.
Yeah. And again, another game where Bukayo Saka Obviously he had the big chance that was saved, and some said he had a really quiet game. I think that they did quite a good job in terms of shutting him down. But like we mentioned last week, out of all our players that can still produce something out of nothing, he still manages to bag a number on an assist, doesn't he?
Yeah, does it? Yeah, I mean, did he get 2 assists, didn't he?
So some of the websites gave him the assist for the Trossard goal, but
Oh yeah, because it hit the player, hit the Villa player.
It doesn't
Yeah,
count
all
on a
right,
technicality.
all right,
Yeah, that annoyed me because I've got him in fantasy football, so I wanted the 2 assists as well.
Whether it's assist or not, he had a big part to play in the goal. On the first one, and obviously the second one. Saka is just Saka, isn't he? Every time he gets the ball, you can feel the opposition's fans going, "My God, what's he going to do? Get it off him! Get it off him!" But I'd like to see him have a little bit more support. I'd like him to, give him a chance to move the ball quicker, because he doesn't sometimes, because he's got no one to give it to. But, and also some of his goals he's got for us in the past been found. That if you ain't going to make one, there's a good chance he's going to score one. So, yeah, I mean, Saka's been unbelievable. And he's getting a little bit more arrogant. When he came off the field, he was like going like that to the fans. He never used to do that. I know he was a lot younger, but he's all of a sudden, he's all right, give it to me, I'm going to give it to you back. And the best way of doing it is either making a goal or scoring one, which he normally does.
Well, I couldn't understand it that
they were booing him. Hold on.
Yeah, every time he touched the ball at the weekend, the jeering and the whistling, and I was like, "What's happened? What's Saka ever done?"
I don't understand it. That's it.
I was wrecking my brain, and I was like, "If this is the Euros thing coming back again, I'm like, oh, grow up."
I don't think it's only Aston Villa, James. I've heard it at other grounds as well.
Yeah.
So it can't be to do with Aston Villa. But, you've got to remember, there's not a lot of brains around the country. It's not just in the Birmingham.
Very, very true. Very, very true. Was there any other, before obviously we move on, was there any other player at the weekend I mean, Saliba stands out, doesn't he? He's another person.
Some of that recovery challenge was off the scale. I think what it was, I don't think he actually ran and went back. I think he popped up from underground and got that tackling, because no one could do what he did. It was like one of those games he used to play. And also what he did, which was just pure Rolls Royce Mark III, was when would it have been in the first half or the second? Yeah, the first half, where he intercepted the ball going across the penalty area. The forward is just about to collect it, and he just one step forward and just moved away with it. Fantastic.
Yeah.
But if there is a downside, I know he's been unbelievable for us. I'm just a bit disappointed in Gabriel. Every game, he seems to make one big error. And that one, when he turned, he faced his own goal, and the guy got it off him, and they should have scored. It was an open goal, basically. It wasn't his. There's nothing that he did to stop them scoring. He didn't come back and make that big tackle. You say, all right, he made a mistake, he got it back. No, he was out of position because he gave the ball away. I thought, when I first saw it, I thought, oh, must be a foul. But it wasn't. And he does that. He's got these habits. I think it's mostly in the first half for some reason. He seems to make a ricket, first 15, and then all of a sudden he gets into his stride. And it's a bit of a habit, which he gets out of, because he's a brilliant, brilliant player. And if he doesn't get out of it, there's a certain Italian that might take his place.
Yeah. I mean, that's the big thing, isn't it? There's been times with Gabriel where initially his first touch can be lacking, and then, like you said, he hasn't got the time to get a second touch to sort, and that's what happened there. And I think it was the same with Partey, wasn't it? He wanted a foul at a certain point with Rodgers.
Yes,
I just think this Rodgers was just too strong. I mean, Declan Rice got bounced off by this guy, and normally that's one thing that you go, well, Declan Rice doesn't lose out to Met, and he shrugged Declan Rice off. He made Declan Rice look like Declan Couscous, didn't he? He really just smashed it off the ball like it was nothing.
I mean, that guy you just spoke about, what a footballer he looks. It's only one performance, but I was listening to it, and Graham Lasso was commentating, and he said, yeah, this guy's good. I never heard of him, I thought, but when I watched him play, he was outstanding. He was, like you say, Arsenal players were bouncing off of him. Absolutely just bouncing off of him. And as the game went on, Graham Lasso, because he proved right, kept mentioning, yeah, I said that, didn't I? I said he's a good player. Yeah, we heard you the first time, right? Yeah. And you're right, he is a bit of a prospect. I mean, he took on our midfield by himself, really, and he won
Yeah.
as well a lot of the time. And I was pleased when they were attacking Villa that he never had the ball, because he didn't need to have one-on-one to make himself dangerous. He could have taken on two at a time. So
Yeah.
I'm very, I don't know, obviously a young kid. I think they said in the commentary that he wasn't born that far from the stadium, but they've found one there, or they've got one there, and they do well to keep him for the next X amount of years, because he could be really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Man City's academy for a little while.
How was he?
That's not where he started, but yeah, he ended up at because my mum's side of the family, a lot of them are based in Middlesbrough, so they're big Borough, and he was at Borough, and they were talking about him. They were talking about him to me then, and he was a very good player for them, and yeah, he's obviously at Villa now and everything else, but. On Sky, they were comparing him a lot to Adama Traore, I think, because they just saw a big... And I was like, no, Adama Traore is like a condom machine in the Vatican. He's useless. He'll take you on, he'll smash you about, but he's got...
Is that the one that went to Barcelona on loan or something?
Yeah, he was at Barcelona for a bit, and then he's the one who puts the oil on all of his arms.
Oh, yeah, the arms, the old arms.
Yeah. But the thing with him is he'll do all of this.
No end product.
Then, there's no... That guy should really be seething with Watkins and everything, because he laid him on a plate for him. He had the end. He done his bit. He did everything. But they just didn't do theirs. That's the difference. And I'm like, this guy is so... I was like, he's so much better than Traore. I just think they looked at, who's quick and strong, and put two and two together, really.
Yeah, he was... I mean, sure, it was... I know when he first came into the team, when he was at Wolves, he looked unplayable, didn't he?
Yeah.
Thinking, God, dear, I wish we had him. Look at him. But all of a sudden, I think when he went to Barcelona, he turned his head and thought, I'm better than what I am. And he never quite got there.
Yeah.
But that's football for you, isn't it?
Exactly. Well, just quick before we move on, we've got a question here from Hente. It's actually directed to you, so I'll flag it up.
All right.
If you need me to read it, I will. So he's put here, Mevlyn, from who do you expect more in this team to do more to protect and do a bit of shithousery? I'll swear, because I'm not monetized, so it doesn't matter.
No, who do we expect to do more? I expect more from Rice, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
I don't think he's got into shithousery. I think we talk about the left back, Calafiore. I think he could do a bit of that. We've seen a bit of it already in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think it's got to come from all of them. I mean, I'm not saying to the extent of back in the day, Man United and Chelsea, where someone gets fouled, every single player surrounds they used to make a formation around the ref to not let him escape. I don't want that sort of thing done.
No.
Yeah, I've always said, I think there's certain instances with Arsenal where we don't appeal enough. When someone goes down,
especially Saka. Saka.
Yeah.
And also, what we've done, though, I've seen the last, is it the last 6 months to a year? We do give away fouls that we didn't normally give away to stop them doing anything. These little niggly fouls, not good enough to get a booking, but good enough to just stop the team progressing. Not obvious ones, just little niggle ones, which is that's the old Man City game, isn't it? Yeah. And I think we're doing a bit, which is good to see, very good to see. So I do want just to talk about Rice. We do want him in the third gear. Once he gets into third gear, we could be a different team. And if he's going to play with a different midfield partner, who we might talk about in a minute, I think that could help him a lot as well, because he's doing a lot of running, too much of it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, just to chuck my 2 cents in on Hente's question as well, there was a point at the weekend, and I'm trying to remember who the Villa player was. He ended up getting booked in the end, because even I was going, oh, hang on a sec, he's had about 3 or 4 of them now. Yeah. And I was like, he still hasn't been. And when I was saying it, funny enough, Gabriel was quite near the referee, and he was going he was like, he's made 3 of that. And I was like, see, so I was like, yeah, they're twigging it. They're twigging,
He played defensively on the left-hand side, didn't he? He was a left-hand sided player.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But because I was quite glad, I was like, oh, finally, he's booked the guy.
That's what the captain ought to do, though, James.
Yes.
Captain can get away with it better than another player, so you better watch that, Gabriel. I don't mind him doing it, but he's got to be careful.
That's one of the new instructions now as well, isn't it? That everything will get diverted through the captain. They won't actually speak to other players now. So they
mere mortals. They won't speak to more mere mortals. These refs, you know that.
Exactly. So just to quickly, before obviously we move on, that's the game. But transfer business, Melvyn. We'll go with a positive first. We'll go. We like to do the positive first and foremost. So obviously here he is in the middle there with his namesake to the left and Mr. Edu on the right. There's Mikel Moreno. Are you happy with this signing, Melvyn? I think it was one of the best kept secrets in football, wasn't it? That this guy.
I was shocked, absolutely shocked. I was drinking a cup of tea and I spilt it all over my lap. Burton, I've got 3rd-degree burns, but no. Listen, he looks absolutely what we need. Quality. He's good on the ball. He's strong. He's got an aerial presence as well, which we don't actually need, but just add it to the rest, make us even more dangerous from corners and stuff like and free kicks. Yeah, absolutely. And the good thing is that his first name is Mikel, like my grandson. So now we've got 2 Mikels, or 3.
Oh, brilliant. Yeah.
Because Jerome's son's called Mikel. By coincidence, of course, as you know.
Yes. Yeah. Well,
so,
hopefully
he looks a quality player. Listen, you can't always tell what a player is like on YouTube. They miss out the bad bits, don't they? But he looks okay on that, more than okay. But I've watched him when he played for Spain, and my eyes weren't just on him. I was just in awe of most of the Spanish footballers, right? They all could play a bit. That was just what I really enjoyed watching Spain, and they deserved it, and good luck to them. And he was one of those. And that header against Germany was a proper header. It wasn't a good morning one, was it? It was a proper header.
Yeah, and he done the celebration, which was the same as his father, I believe, from the Euro when he scored in the Euros as well. He done a famous celebration around the corner.
Around the corner.
Yeah. So I believe that hopefully, that might be coming to a ground near us very, very soon.
Wouldn't mind.
We're that good at the set pieces, Melvyn. I think. I mean, Aston Villa only let us have one at the weekend. We only had one corner at the week.
Exactly. I never knew that until after the game. He mentioned it, didn't he?
He said you can't let Arsenal have corners. Yeah.
We should play that more often. We should just bang it off their legs to get corners.
And I mean, the one that we did take, funny enough, was Martinez was all rolling on the floor saying he'd been pushed and nobody. If we'd have been on it and actually put the ball in the net, because we stopped. If we actually scored, I think VAR would have reviewed it and gone goal. I think because it did bobble and someone was going to, but then it all stopped and everything else there and then. I think if we carried on, we probably would have got the goal. But just to touch on it. So obviously, Mikel Moreno is in, thank God. They did say, the Real Sociedad president, before he signed, that he was training on his own, which people thought, oh, that's him leaving. It was because he's actually got some kind of slight niggle. And the video of him at Arsenal yesterday showed that he was training on his own again. So I don't know if he'll play a full game on Saturday, but I think after that break, I think after that break, I think he's going to be, I reckon he will start regardless of how well Thomas Partey does on Saturday. I think he's going to play. I think he's going straight in.
Well, it'd be lovely. I mean, if I can get my mind around what he's like, I think I got in my mind what he's like. Can't wait. Fantastic signing. Absolutely.
Do you worry? I mean, I'm not overly impressed about it. However, I do understand it. Are you worried about Declan Rice moving back into a more defensive midfield? Because he obviously, we bought him to play as a number 6, but he's been so good at playing as a 6 or a number 8. And he hasn't been a designated 6 for us for a long, long time. And he played the 6 at the Euros. And I don't think he, glistened as much as what he normally... Obviously, duel-wise and everything, he was top of the statistics in terms of that and winning the ball back. So I've got no problems with him there. I just think that he can offer us so much more going forward. But I don't know, maybe with this guy coming in, he can let Declan Rice sort of go above him and he'll fill in back. He'll drop back and let.
Why don't they play it by ear? One drops, one goes forward. One drop. They can do that. They're both intelligent footballers, you'd imagine. You don't have to say you've got to play up front or drive up and the other one's got to stay back. They can interchange, can't they? The same as we had Jesus and Martinelli interchanging when Jesus first came into the team, swapping over positions. No, listen. If Rice plays 6 or 8 and vice versa, you know that when we're defending, we've got a good, solid midfield now. We've got 2 guys that can put their foot in, and we know what Rice can do. He's a great reader of the game. He's always seems to be in the right place when we're defending at the right time. And this guy seems to have a little bit about that in him as well. So that's good news, isn't it?
Yeah, and again, like we mentioned before, they're all big players as well. You know, we've left the days of the small, intricate, tippy-tappy players and finally gone back to men, which is what we always wanted. But to go into now the negative side of the transfer win, well, I guess it's somewhat positive. Obviously, it hasn't been done yet, so I don't want to, I'm touching wood here, hoping that it happens. But Eddie Nketiah looks to be going to Crystal Palace. We finally look to have been getting the money. We held firm and actually got the money that we did want, which I will credit Mikel and Edu on. And then moving on next, Aaron Ramsdale. I'm shocked it's only Southampton that have come in for him. But I guess big clubs. I mean, most of this transfer window, the big clubs that spend, all of us have nearly broken even as teams. So none of us have really spent overly the top on players, other than obviously Chelsea have just bought so many. They haven't actually spent like 60, 70 odd million on one. They've just spent so much on so many. But there's the Ramsdale one, Mevlyn, obviously good. When he come in, I was not happy with the signing at all, and he completely turned me around. There's been a few instances there. Obviously, what's happened, and it's not great, but I think it's best, a bit like the Nketiah one, I think it's best for all parties, no?
Oh, most certainly. It's ironic gone to Southampton because that's when he made that big error, didn't he? The season before last.
Yes, yeah.
So, listen, Ramsdale was good for the squad, good as a goalkeeper, more than good, and good for morale. He was a character. And I think that it's just he's a bit very unlucky that he's still not the Arsenal goalkeeper. I think it was quite obvious that Arteta was after the goalie we got now from Brentford. And I think that nothing was going to change his mind. And he's quite ruthless to get rid of him. It's a shame. But you can't have 2 goalkeepers of that, Raya and Ramsdale. You can't have them both in your squad. It just doesn't work. It just, cannot work. So you had to get rid of him. We got okay money for him, not great, but it's all right if we're going to get rid of the Ramsdales, Eddie, Smith Rose, and people like that. Well, most certainly Smith Rowe is another story, but get rid of players if we're going to bring others in. And it looks like Nketiah's going, Eddie's going. If we don't get a replacement, then I'm a bit. It's a bit of a downer for me. I'm not shouting and screaming because I don't know what's going on, but looking on the outside, looking in, I feel that we need a striker to just bang that ball in. Sometimes we can't rely on our midfielders and wide players the whole time. And he's as good as he is, Havertz. He's not a proper centre forward. He's done very well, don't get me wrong. But sometimes you watch the team play and you know that the 11 on the field aren't going to get you a goal. We saw it last season, and funnily enough, against Villa home and away. And you need someone to bring on to go, right, this is it. We're going to batter them the last 30 minutes. We just change what we're doing, and we'll have one guy who's going to batter him. He could do something. Yes, Trossard did it on Saturday, but that was a one-off. You're talking about when you're attacking a team non-stop, and it's just not happening. You need to bring someone on that's got a presence, and I don't think we've got anyone from the bench to bring on that's got that presence. And there's one I would have liked. I suppose everyone else would have liked it as well, and I think we could have got him because I don't think it would have cost as much as it would have cost a year or so ago. And he would have been all right playing as a number 2 stroke sub to come on. He'd be delighted to do it. And that's the Brighton centre forward, the kid.
Yeah, Ferguson,
yeah. I think it'd have been a great move for him and a great move for us.
Yeah, there's still a link there. There is
still
a link there. I mean, we play them Saturday, so I think it'll be very hard in terms of they'll probably be like, if you sign him this late, you can't play it. I mean,
I'll take that. He ain't going to play anyway.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a case of if we don't sign them before midday tomorrow, they can't play anyway.
Well, that's not right.
Yeah, I don't know if that change. I don't know if that rule changes on deadline day or not. I don't know if they let them have an extension or what have you. But yeah, I would take this guy all day. I know he's still roaring himself, but in terms of, is he a better natural finisher? Of course he is. I think in the air he's probably on par with Havertz, but a right foot, left foot finish, he's much better, and he's better than Nketiah as well. And he's
exactly
20 years old. I think.
Yeah.
He's
You're buying something for the future, and he could actually make a big impact this year as well. It's the type of guy I'm talking about, James, that could come off the bench and change everything. He could absolutely change things. And I think it would have been, it's a shame. That's my main number one that I'd go for.
I mean, before he got the big injury, and then he also fell out of favour at Brighton. I think something happened there with De Zerbi and a few of the players towards the end, because he wasn't being picked. I mean, Pedro, who played at the weekend and scored, he's very good as well. I've liked him since he was at Watford, Mevlyn. He's another very good player. But I was looking at Ferguson last season, and I remember you being on the show with, help me out, Kieran and I forget his name. Steve. Yeah, and I mentioned Ferguson, and I remember Kieran and Ferguson going, not yet. And I remember saying to both of them, I was like, listen, from the small glimpses that I've seen so far, this guy is looking like Blackburn Shearer. And I'm you need to buy him now before he gets completely out of the way. And just quick to mention someone that we look to be buying, obviously with Ramsdale going, it's typical Arsenal, isn't it, that the goalkeeper that we're looking to replace him with, which is Juan Garcia from Espanyol, they play Atletico Madrid last night. They draw 0-0 and he's man of the match. I'm like, oh, for God's sake, I said he's going to cost. He's gone from being an £18 million goalkeeper to a £30 million or £25 million goalkeeper, because he was from the highlights that I watched this morning, because I was like, we'll see what this guy does. They had a goal that was disallowed that was completely his fault. So he had a clanger there. Luckily, it was disallowed because he had a clang. But for the rest of the game, I was like, you. In terms of backup keepers, if he's only going to be playing FA Cup and maybe the League Cup, I thought you're okay.
How old is he, James?
He's only 20. I think he's only 23. He's very young. He's
brilliant.
never played.
That's perfect.
Yeah, he's not played in the top flight ever, apart from the few games that he's had this season at Espanyol. He's always been a second division type goalkeeper. So that's something that's going to be coming in. I mean, with Ramsdale going, I don't know who our second choice keeper against Brighton is going to be unless we get someone in. We got that Setford from Ajax in the summer. He's the only one. I don't know who else is there.
No. Perhaps we won't have a second goalkeeper on the bench. I don't know.
Well, the way that Saliba is and how good he is, and Saka, they seem to be playing. Chuck gloves on one of them two. They'll probably do a job.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But you mentioned it as well a minute ago, and I'll come back to it. The attacker, Mevlyn, for me, like you said, to not get one, I think it ruins all the good work you've done at the earlier, because arguably you've made the squad worse than what it was at the beginning. I just can't see Edu and Mikel being so negligible, thinking that we can survive till January. The only thing that I can potentially think that it could be, and again, I know people are going to go, oh, here he comes with a conspiracy theory like he normally does, but I don't know if pretty much the rest of the league, including Arsenal, know that Man City are banged to rights, and they're probably going, we ran them close last season with what we have. They're going to be deducted God knows how many points. So arguably, we're the best. By default, we're the best team. I don't think we can think like that, Mevlyn. I think we got to be looking. I think we got to be looking over our shoulders, going, Liverpool are still here. There's other teams that are. Liverpool's attack, regardless if it's a new manager or whatever, you can play any combination of the 4 or 5 that they've got depth-wise up front, and they will still blitz teams with ease.
Yeah. They're ruthless. They're ruthless.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think that's what you said is correct. I know you're not saying it. You're just putting it up there. But I want to win. If we're going to win this league this season, I want to win it properly. I don't want Man City losing 20 points and we win it because we're the best team apart from City. No. because they'll always turn around. You know, these people are go, yeah, but if City wouldn't have got those points, you may not have won it, you know, because they gave up after December because they knew they couldn't win the league. No, we've got to do the best we can. And by buying a striker, an out-and-out striker, will improve us no end. And these games, home to West Ham, home to Villa, away to Villa, away to Fulham, home to Fulham, when we needed more goals, and it never came. You need a player to get you in those 6 games or whatever it is to get 4 goals to give you another 7, 8 points. And it's so important. It's not as if we haven't got any money. It's not as if we haven't got any room. We've made room, money-wise and positional-wise. We've made room. And if you're worried about the money, Shevchenko, you could have got money for him you could have got another 20, 25 million for him. But it's not about money. So I just don't get it. And are they that clever? Are they that much of a gambler, the two of them, Mikel and Edu, that they have to wait to the last minute to get a player? The player they needed to get should have been signed, sealed, delivered, I'm yours by Stevie Wonder. It should have been not wait to the last knockings, because that doesn't show any confidence at all. That is gambling, and it's a big gamble, James. If we don't get a striker, it's a big word. If we don't get a striker and we miss out by 2 points again, because we haven't beat some crap team who we've been knocking on the door for 90 odd minutes, there's questions to be asked.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think if we go another season with no silverware whatsoever, you've then got to ask a big question as well. I think after this season, it's unacceptable to I know that's controversial to a lot of people, but for me, I'm not afraid to say it, Mevlyn. I've been in the Arsenal podcast realm since I was 18 years old. In less than a month, I'm going to be 33. The whole time that I've done this, I have earned 0 penny. The club have given me tickets to 0 games. They've never given me a kit. They've never given me any. There are people that are clearly paid by the club and everything the club did, and the spin at the moment is unbelievable to try and justify. And to not sign either a winger or a centre forward, I don't know. Even Hot Point can't spin out of this one, Mevlyn, for me.
No, it's true. But you know what I said? I said it a couple of months ago, perhaps. I don't know where time goes now. My worry is, James, I'm not worried about Arteta, because I think that if we don't win the title this year, and we haven't got a God's gift right to win it, but if that happens, if we come second again and we don't win it, I'm not worried about Arteta getting the sack, because I think the hierarchy have invested too much in him, both money-wise and morale-wise and everything else-wise. He's part of the whole scene. The whole picture is Arteta, isn't it? He's the linchpin where everything else goes outwards. My worry is, and this is the big one, someone like Saliba go, you know what? I'm not going to win anything here. I've had 3 amazing seasons. We've let in no goals at all. My performances has been unbelievable. And I'm seeing some jackass down the road winning things. And they're nowhere near as good as me. Or abroad, if you like. Where I know I'm going to win something, because I will go with my Barcelona, Real Madrid or PSG or whatever it is. And that is my biggest worry. Arteta doesn't worry me if he goes. I want him to stay, of course I do. But I don't think they'll pull the plug on him. But I think there's more chance of someone like Saliba going, sorry, I've given it 3. You've had 3 of my best seasons. The grass is always greener.
Oh,
what did Neil say there? Neil put something up there.
He's put. This is what I've been saying, Mevlyn.
No, Neil, I was first.
and then he's put, this group needs to win something to keep them together.
Definitely,
and I think you're both spot on. And this goes into, again, going back to what I said earlier with my small conspiracy theory thing in my head, is that I don't just want to win it now. If Man City get docked points and relegated, I want to be the best team next season. We've not won a Premier League back-to-back in our history. I want to win not just one title.
Didn't we win in the 30s? Didn't we win 2 in a row in the 30s?
Well, yes, true. Yeah, football existed before the Premier League. Yes, it did. Yeah. But you know, for me,
I know what you're saying. In modern times,
yeah. I don't just want to be a good team this season. I'm greedy, Melvyn. I want to win it. I want to keep winning for as long as we can because you know we've gone 20 odd years without one of the big ones. I know the FA Cups and everything, and they're brilliant. I will never diminish the FA Cup. I still got a lot of love for the FA. The people that are diminishing the cup competitions are actually these TV companies that are bloody ruining it. I mean, to seed the bloody League Cup even for the champions to keep the coefficient up. I'm like, no, just tell your teams to be better in Europe.
yeah.
Stop going into Aston Villa last season resting their team against Man City to get their best boys to play in Europe. Their best play in Europe, and they lose to Olympiacos. No disrespect to Olympiacos, but Aston Villa should never have been losing that game.
No.
You know, Liverpool getting Atalanta at home in Europe should never have lost. What was it, 4 or something?
Oh, I saw that game. Did you see that game? Wow, what a game!
Well, I mean, their manager is superb anyway, and Hente's jumped in here now. He's 3 in a row in the third. There he is. He knows. He's the Arsenal historian.
But I think the last one, Hente, wasn't Chapman. I think he got ill that year or died, passed away. I think he won 2 on the trot, but we might have won 3 on the trot with the Whittaker or someone who ever took over from him as manager.
Yeah. And just quick as well, we got another question here from Hente before we go. And I believe this is happening. He's put Sterling on loan from Chelsea. I don't know.
Can I answer that? Can I
Go
answer
for
that for Hente? If we don't get anyone else, I'll definitely have him. If it's to stop us if we get Sterling in there, we don't get anyone else, no. But if it looks like he's the best we can get, most certainly, he's definitely got something to offer us.
Yeah, I look at it and think that it could be an Aubameyang type of situation where Chelsea will tear his contract up, and therefore, because they've said that some of the journalists today have said he's willing to take a pay cut, a significant pay cut, because he'll come to Arsenal and he'll play, and he knows Arteta and he loves Arteta.
Yeah.
So I look at it, and also me and Jack spoke about this on Twitter, funny enough, with Hente the other day. The number 10 and the 14 shirt, in terms of Arsenal recent history, especially, I mean, even just in general football, 10 is a big number. You don't have a number 10 shirt go blank normally.
No.
Raheem Sterling, I believe, was number 10 for Liverpool when he started. I don't know if he was 10 I think he was 7 at City, if I can recall. But yeah, I can see Raheem Sterling, number 10 on an Arsenal shirt tomorrow. I can see Sterling happening.
But would he? I mean, I'd love to see him in a situation where 60 minutes of Saka, then bring Sterling on.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
He'd do such a good job for us.
Mm.
And I think he will improve his game with us. I think I don't mean his football ability. He's always had that. I'm talking about up here, wanting to do it. He gets his desire back.
Yeah.
And when you make players, if players have felt that they're loved, obviously, they play better.
The thing I'll say as well is, Melvyn, is that, again, this is a guy that's been at Man City. I don't think he wasn't there the treble year, was he? Because that's when they got Grealish and everything else in. But he still won, what was it, 3 titles before they did the treble with him. Maybe even more, I think, because he's been there such a long time. So you're bringing in another winner into a group that hasn't won. Now, I'm not necessarily saying Sterling's a leader per se, but I think he can go in there and be like, I know how to win a title. So, listen. And I don't know. I look at it and think that, like you said earlier, in terms of Havertz having someone to link with and someone that's going to run around, Sterling's got, again, maybe end product wise, Sterling isn't amazing compared to what he used to be, but in terms of pace, you can
on one-on-one, you'd fancy him. Look at the difference.
Oh, God,
I hate knocking people who play for the Arsenal, but look at him on a one-to-one basis with the defender and Nelson. You cannot compare.
It's night and day.
Yeah, and that's why I think I'd love to have him.
And I don't believe this whole theory of that we can't get anybody in unless Nelson goes. I don't buy this at all.
What are we going to get for Nelson? 10 million if we're lucky?
Exactly. I'm like, for me, Nelson does not hold the keys to Arsenal doing anything. If Arsenal don't do anything, it's because, like I said earlier, Mikel and Edu, and like you put, they're gambling. and it better pay off. Because it's such a, it is, I mean, what do they say? What's the phrase? You're betting with house money or whatever?
Something like that.
I think it is. Yeah. I'm like, it is really, really risky bet to make. But we're nearly at an hour, so I'll quickly just wrap this up. Obviously, we got the Champions League draw, Mevlyn, that happened earlier today. I've got that here somewhere if I put this up. So, yeah, obviously, we've got PSG in there, Inter Milan in there, Shakhtar Donetsk, Atalanta, the first time that we're ever going to play them. We've never played them in Europe before. Dynamo Zagreb, Sporting Lisbon, Monaco, the old Arsene Wenger derby there. And we got Girona for the first time. We've never played as well. And this
didn't he used to play for us? Girona, didn't he play for us?
Yeah. I mean, the new format is so confused. In the WhatsApp groups that I'm in, I've had people try and explain. I still don't understand it. I think it's if you're in the top 8, you're automatically through, but then 9 to 24th get playoffs against the. It's so baffling and what have you. But I think out of all those teams there, we can get enough points to finish within the top 8 of whatever this group is or whatever it is that we need to do.
I haven't actually understood it. I haven't looked at it. I haven't had a big look. I will do, but I'm going on a course starting next week. So to understand it.
Yeah, I'm going to get my NVQ level 2 in Champions League as well next week. Yeah. No, it is absolutely baffling. And just to go on familiar, because that's the next game. Brighton, obviously at home. Mevlyn, you'll be there on Saturday.
Michael Jackson. I'll be there.
Yeah. If I can squeeze you for a prediction,
I'm gonna go for another 2-0.
Nice. I reckon 2-1. I think that sadly the clean sheet duck will be broken, but yeah, I still think we're going to win, and obviously that will set us up lovely going into the break as well. And Brighton are no slouches. The new guy that's come in there. He's had the 2 games in the league and the 1 in the League Cup, and he's won all 3, and they've scored a lot of goals along the way. So he's clearly coming in there and injected something into him.
Yeah. So I mean, we're obviously looking for 3 points. Can't get complacent. Got to take our chances like normal and get on with it, and it should be all right.
Yeah. Well, that's it then. So thank you very much, Mevlyn, for coming on. If people want to find you and hear more from you, where do they need to go?
Mostly on Twitter, on Mevlyn, as it says there. The only way is Arsenal Marks. Mainly on Twitter. Thanks a lot, James. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow night.
Yes, I can't wait. That's something to mention as well. Yeah, the Guna versus Cancer art auction.
Drayton Park Pub. That's the one on the corner.
That's it. That's the one. I will be there. I finish work at 5, and then I am bolting for that first train that I can get. Because I'm worried about entry if it's after 7. I mean, I know I'll board a ticket, but I'm worried. I'm worried they won't let me in after the entry time.
Of course they will.
You reckon?
100%.
Yeah.
Don't rush. Yeah. I'm going to get there, but I've spoken to Lee. I think we're getting there between 7 and 7:30.
You might miss the start of the whole.
No.
You're going to miss the bids.
The bids don't come up the first half hour, I don't think.
Well, I hope it's better than the auction at the event that we went to, where he couldn't even see the people bidding. Do you remember?
Yes.
We're getting off topic, so we're going into private jokes here. But yeah, people standing there going, they nearly had things from the airport on, didn't they?
Yeah, that's right. The old table tennis bats.
Yeah. And they still couldn't see. Oh my God. Yeah, no, Mike's too professional to let something like that happen. Yeah. But no, I'm looking forward to it, and. Like Neil's put in there, it's a good cause. It is a good cause, and they're all good.
Is Neil coming? Well, you coming? You said you're coming, Neil. You still coming, mate?
Is that a surprise? Is that a surprise? Is he coming?
He said he would.
I'm going to let the show
game against Wolves.
I'm going to let the show roll on. I'm going to let the show roll on here to see. We'll await Neil's response before we leave.
Yeah, I had a drink with him after the Wolves game, and he said he's.
Obviously, now for audio listeners, this is going to be awful. The suspense of finding out.
This is like penalties, isn't it, on the radio?
No, there's the no. There is the no.
Oh, no. Wow. Oh, dear. Never mind, Neil. All right.
Well, no Neil,
problem. Are you going Saturday, Neil? Are you going Saturday?
Yeah. And again, it's another response we're waiting for.
It's a very slow keyboard here.
He's saying no, right. No again.
Never mind. All right, no problems.
Well, Neil, if you can't be there in person, you can go to the website, donate your £5, get your raffle ticket, and you can still be in for one of the 5 prizes. I know which one he'll want the most.
What is that one then?
Oh, actually, oh no, I don't think that's in the raffle. Actually, I don't think the Arsene Wenger drawing and print is in the. I think that's just the auction, isn't it? That's not in the raffle. I don't think the big Wenger print. But anyway, getting off topic now. But no, thanks again, Mevlyn, and we'll 100% have you back on. Obviously,
thanks very much. Appreciate it,
and I appreciate you coming on at late notice. I sent in the. Unlike Arsenal, I don't do my business early either. I leave it to the last minute. And you were my Sterling, Mevlyn. You come in and help me. So I appreciate it. No, thank you. You were my big name centre forward that I picked. So I'm grateful. But thanks a lot, guys. And
see you soon.
Take care.
All the best, people.
Thanks, bye.